Example 4 is another word problem to kind of give us context for these different patterns. So Statistics Canada estimates the population growth of Canadian cities, provinces, and territories. So in general, they're going to be using math for predicting purposes. The population of Nunavut is expected to grow annually by 0.8%. In 2009, its population is about 30,000. Estimate the population in each year to the nearest thousandth. Okay, so it's growing, so that means it's increasing. So we're going to be adding or multiplying by something bigger than 1. And annually means each year. Okay, so my pattern, if I just wanted to kind of give myself somewhere to start, would be 30,000 as my first year. Now it's going to grow by 0.8%. Now remember, when working with decimals or with percents, we want to convert them to decimals in order to be able to do a calculation with them. So we're going to go from 0.8%. That's actually 0.008 as a decimal. Okay, now I'm going to multiply that by 30,000 to find out my growth. Okay, so growth is going to be my current population times 0.008. So my growth is 240. So my new population isn't going to be just 240 because that's not growth at all. My new population is going to be 30,240. The following year, I'm going to take that number, my 30,240, and multiply it by 0.008, which gets me 241.92. Well, I'm not going to have 0.9 of a person, so I'm going to round that up to 242. My new population is not going to be just 242, though. I'm going to add it to what I already have. So that's going to be 30,482 people. And this is how it's going to continue. So when I look at my actual values in my pattern, it's not just increasing by 0.8%, it's increasing by 108% because we're always including that original value in there. And we said in order for it to increase, it needs to be multiplied by a number bigger than 1. And so you can test this right now. Multiply this by 1.008. My initial value, and you will actually come up with 30,240. And again, that will work if we do the same here, times 1.008. So again, it needs to be bigger than 1 because it's growing, it's increasing, not decreasing. I'm not taking a chunk out of it, I'm taking the whole thing and then some. Okay, so my actual growth, my actual population, or my actual R value is going to be 1.008. From here, I just need to figure out, okay, well, what's the difference? And kind of go from there. So 2009 is my term 1. So this would be 2010. That would be term 2, 2011, 12, 13, 14. So what we're going to need to do is we need to figure out, okay, well, when would 2013 be? Which term number would that be? Well, we need to include 2009. So what we're going to do is we're going to subtract 2008 from there. And we saw this when we were working on it in class. When we only subtracted the numbers 1 to 10. When we were figuring out the sum of 11 to 200. So we're going to take away 2008 because 2009 is term 1. And that's going to tell us that we are actually dealing with term 5. Okay. If we took out 2009, that would be term 4. Well, that would just be the next one. But if we numbered them off, this is 2011. The next term should be 2012. So we can see kind of how that discrepancy comes into play there. We need to go all the way to 2013, which is term 5. So if we know that, well, now we're able to just use our formula. So it's any term is equal to our first term multiplied by our common ratio to the power of n minus 1. So in this case, we're trying to figure out term 5. We're going to do that by going from 30,000 multiplied by 1.008 to the power of 5 minus 1. And I'm going to just plug that into my calculator. The number I get out of my calculator is going to be 30,971.6. But in actuality, we can't have decimals of people. And in our question, we're asked to find to the nearest 1,000. So that means we're actually rounding at this point here. So the 9 rounds up, so we would expect them to have 31,000 people in 2013. Going all the way up to 2049, we're going to use the same process. Nothing else has changed other than this is now our term Tn. Again, we're going to use the same idea. We need to include 2009. That's our starting point. That's 1. So 2008 is like 0. It's our base. So we're going to take 2008 away from here in order to figure out what is n. And that's going to be 41. From there, it's just plug and chug. Same idea. So term 41 is what we're solving for. We're still going to start at 30,000. My common ratio hasn't changed. I haven't said it's like slowing down. It's not increasing by as much anymore. But this time it's going to be 41 minus 1. Again, you're just going to plug this into your calculator and get your answer, which means our final answer is 41,261. But again, we're asked to round to the nearest thousandth, so we're cutting it off here. 2 rounds down, so it would be 41,000 by Nunavut's 50th birthday. Okay, so that's kind of how we're going to have to interpret these word problems. Always remembering that our starting point is not actually our 0 ground, and that's not what we're going to take away. It's always 1 less than that. What are we actually leaving out? We're leaving out 2008 because we're starting in 2009.